When we talk about Latera Desktop, we will absolutely focus heavily on those who are going to be the end users. And in some cases across the suite, they're the indirect users, right? So they may have support professionals that are using some of this technology for them. But the moment that something has a discrepancy in the user experience, we know that it's becoming an uphill battle, right? If we start thinking about it, this is an analogy we hear all the time. If you start thinking about having to download a new app to your phone, if you had to go through a training for that, there's a high likelihood that you will not be engaged with that application for very long. We recognize that learning curves are becoming longer, not only because of the new capabilities of the technology or these technologies becoming more robust, but also because of the shift from traditional training, which we know was put people in a room for an hour, try to show them how to use the technology, very feature function focused, and everyone in that room had a different level of expertise and a different need coming out of that. Now with technology, with generative AI, with things like that, these learning curves become a bit more challenging, and we need to get down to a place where that's a little bit more concise. There's a lot of overlapping functionality, whether it's a vendor in Microsoft or a couple of vendors. We've seen data points that say if there's two ways to do something, users will find a third. And then too many tools is going to be pretty challenging, right? I think we've all seen the tabs that run across Microsoft Word across the top to the point where functionality and ribbons are getting consolidated because they're too robust. I've also heard this, and I think it's a very powerful statement, which is that technology can be very helpful for someone, but the more technology that lives in that environment, the more real estate we're losing from the document itself. And that's where we want to spend the majority of our time, and that's the most important element of it. So less time on lower value work, more time on higher value work. Now, on the flip side, the IT teams are the ones that are trying to allow for performance to be met at the expectation of a lawyer, right? So we know that IT is trying to stay up to date with all of the different deployment models of different vendors, staying up to date with the latest and greatest versions, ensuring compatibility and continuity. We know the likes of document management system vendors and the Microsofts of the world are pushing us in that direction. The more solutions you have, the more that you need to be updating, and the more time that we spend maintaining, the less time we spend innovating, right? So challenging to operate between multiple vendors for support conflicts, challenging to get all of these applications to work seamlessly so a lawyer feels like I have one user experience across all of my technology. And again, a lot of time that is spent on keeping the lights on and the performance and ensuring that applications are not crashing and that Word stays working appropriately, and less about how can we better serve our user population.